Welcome. Today, we are going to break down one of the most dynamic and honestly one of the most interesting parts of the IGCSE English exam, the directed writing speech. In this explainer, we're going to build a clear step-by-step guide to take you from that intimidating blank page to a top-scoring speech. So, let's get right into the big question. How do you do it? You've got 40 minutes on the clock to read a text, really get what it's about, and then flip it into a totally convincing speech, and it's worth a whopping 25 marks. Now, that might sound a little daunting, but trust me, with the right blueprint, it's a massive opportunity for you to really shine. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to decode the question itself. What are the examiners really looking for? Then I'll give you an essential toolkit for pulling it apart. After that, we'll walk through a simple 4-step blueprint, sprinkle in some persuasive magic, and then, to bring it all home, we'll deconstruct a model speech to see exactly how it all works in practice. Okay, first things first, let's decode the task. At its heart, the directed writing question is all about transformation. You're given a text, right? It's usually a story or an article. Your job is to take the information and ideas from that text and adapt them into a completely new format. In our case, a speech. Now, where do those 25 marks come from? Well, they're split into two big chunks. You can get up to 15 marks just for your reading skills. That means showing you can analyze the text, pull out the right information, and develop the ideas. The other 10 marks are all about your writing. How will you structure your speech, your choice of words, keeping the tone just right, and of course, the nuts and bolts of spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So, before you even think about writing, you need a tool to quickly figure out what the question is asking. So let me introduce you to VRAP. Seriously, this is going to be your new best friend for any directed writing task. It's a super simple framework that just sets you up perfectly from the start. VARP stands for Voice, Audience, Register, and Purpose. So, voice, who are you pretending to be? Are you a passionate student, a worried teacher? Audience, who are you talking to? Is it your classmates or maybe a group of experts? Register is all about the tone. How formal or informal should your language be? And finally, purpose. What's your goal? Are you trying to persuade them, just inform them, or maybe argue a point? Answering these 4 questions before you start writing, absolutely crucial. And this right here shows you exactly why VRIP is such a game changer. Just look at the difference in tone and style between a speech and, say, a report. A report is formal, objective, all about the facts. But a speech has to be energetic, motivational, direct, persuasive. It's got to be alive. Getting that difference right is key to hitting the top marks. Okay, now for the how. When you're in that exam hall and the clock is ticking, you don't have time to wonder what to do. You need a clear, repeatable method. So this 4-step blueprint is your guaranteed path through that 40-minute window. Step 1. Analyze. Seriously, grab 3 different colored highlighters. As you read the source text, highlight every piece of information that connects to each of the 3 bullet points in the question. Step 2. Plan. Take those highlighted points and organize them into a simple, logical structure. You need an intro, 3 body paragraphs, 1 for each bullet point, and a solid conclusion. Step 3, write. This is where you bring it all to life, making sure you give each of those bullet points equal airtime. And finally, step 4, proofread. Always leave yourself a couple of minutes at the end to catch any silly mistakes that could cost you easy marks. A good speech gives information, but a great speech persuades. And the secret sauce to get from good to great? It's all about using rhetorical devices. These are the techniques that are going to lift your writing and really connect with your audience on a whole other level. And the best part is, these tools are actually really simple to use. We're talking about things like rhetorical questions to get your audience thinking, direct address, using words like you and we to pull them in, repetition to make a key idea stick, emotive language to make them feel something, listing things in 3s, which is just weirdly powerful, and using short personal stories or anecdotes to make big ideas feel real and relatable. Just look at this example here. These questions aren't looking for an answer, right? Of course not. What they do is they invite the audience to completely rethink their entire idea of what failure means. It's powerful, it's engaging, and it hooks the listener right into the heart of the speech's message. All right, time to put it all together. Let's see how all these pieces work in the real world. We're going to deconstruct a model speech. The scenario is this. A teacher, totally overwhelmed by the job, pulled a school fire alarm and resigned. Now, she's been invited to speak about her experience at a national teachers conference. The first few seconds of a speech are absolutely everything. That's your moment to grab your audience's attention and show them you're worth listening to. See what the speaker did there? She immediately nails the audience and voice from our VARP framework. She says, "Ladies and gentlemen, educators, and esteemed colleagues," directly speaking to who is in the room. Then, by calling herself a fellow educator, she instantly builds a bridge. She's saying, "I'm not some outsider telling you what to do. I'm one of you." Okay, so she's got their attention. Now let's look at how a body paragraph works. This is where you take the ideas from the bullet points and use those rhetorical devices to really drive your point home.
Oh, this is just brilliant. First, the speaker uses a classic triple: stress, workload, and pressure to really emphasize the scale of the problem. Then, that repetition of plus, 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 it's more than just a list. It creates this relentless, overwhelming feeling that lets the audience experience a little bit of what she felt. It's such a powerful way to build an emotional argument.
And you can't have a great speech without a powerful ending. Your conclusion has to wrap up your main message and leave a really lasting impression. You've got to finish strong. See, the speech doesn't just stop. It offers a powerful message of support and solidarity. The speaker then directly thanks the audience and leaves them with this really personal, caring instruction. Take care of yourselves. It's direct, it's empathetic, and it makes the whole speech feel complete and truly memorable. So let's boil it all down. What are the 3 things you absolutely have to remember? 1. Always start by decoding the task with VARP. 2. Build your speech around those 3 bullet points and make sure you give them equal weight. And 3. Weave in those rhetorical devices to take your speech from just good to truly persuasive. Look, this is more than just an exam question. A speech is a chance to connect with people, to persuade them, to actually make an impact. You have the tools, you have the method. The only question left is, what kind of powerful message will you choose to deliver?